What's up, people? Welcome back to another episode of Stars and Garters. I'm Katie Pettit, and today it is just Marvel Monday. I'm not combining anything this week, we're just gonna do it normally, and I did watch the latest episode of X-Men 97, and what an episode that was. I'm gonna have a lot to say about this. It was crazy. So much happened. What an episode. But yeah, I'm gonna have a good time with this. So yeah, let's just get right into it. So, episode, what is this even? 4? Question mark? 5? 4 or 5, I'm pretty sure. But it's called Remember It, and that title hits different now that I've actually watched it, but we'll get more to that later. So basically, it's about, on the second episode, they mentioned Genosha, the mutant nation, being, inducted into the United Nations, and so they're going, to go look at Genosha, and that's the main thing, is Magneto and Rogue and Gambit being in Genosha, figuring out some politics and stuff, and then, also, the rest of the X-Men are doing, like, a little press conference interview situation thing. So that's the two things that are going on mostly. So it starts out with the press conference. First thing I noticed was kind of like, okay, so no more owl. Because if you will recall, there was very much an owl at the end of the last episode, and it was seemed like a big deal. So it's not there. It's gone. No more owl. I was actually pretty okay with that. I'm still pretty freaked out by the owl, but I wonder where the owl is, and Storm and Forge, what's going on with them? I'm okay. We're taking a break. I'm just saying, and I think that it's definitely going to pick up, because that was something I said about a lot of the other episodes, is they were kind of jump around plots, but they've also been doing well about going back and getting back to those plots, so I'm not worried about it. I'm actually pretty glad to take a break from the owl. It was a lot, and it was there for like a minute, maybe. So, yeah, I'm good with that. But yeah, it starts out with a press conference. This lady is just interviewing all the X-Men, trying to make them seem more human, I guess, and talking about their lives and stuff. I don't like her. I don't like this lady. She seems kind of nice, but she says some stuff. She's a reporter, so she's just nosy, like reporters are, but I just don't like her. She rubbed me the wrong way. And that's just the first part's not that much of the interview. It's just like Beast, and her like risen up Beast or whatever, and then so they get right to Genosha. So Gambit, Magneto, and Rogue are going to Genosha. So my thought is like, why are those three together? Rogue and Magneto have been something's going on there. I don't like it. It's creepy and weird, but it's something. And then Rogue and Gambit are supposed to be a thing. So I'm like, don't send the love triangle together. Of course, that makes for a good story, but still, that does not seem wise. But yeah, they have their little quips and whatever, and they get to Genosha, and the first thing I noticed about Genosha is just there's a buttload of cameos. Just in the background, I'll talk about the more obvious, or the most obvious one first, but just in the background, there's a ton of characters that I was like, wow, that person is the person I know. How cool. Fun brain chemicals. So many brain chemicals when Nightcrawler showed up. Oh my goodness. Oh, I was so happy. We love Nightcrawler. He's so fun. A great character, and he showed up, and he was being Nightcrawler. Just, oh man, it was so fun. Getting to see him do his thing, interact with Rogue and Magneto, and, well, mostly Rogue and Gambit, and just see him, show them around Genosha, show them the ropes, and just, him living there is pretty cool. And he's just his fun self. It's so fun to just see him, and he actually gets apart, and he's talking, and he's like very there, and it's just like yay the whole time. It's just like, oh my goodness, Nightcrawler, yes, love that guy. Um, so a few of the characters we see in the background. There was a blob guy I noticed. He's like this thing where it's a skeleton and then a big pink blob and then eyeballs on the front of the blob. No idea what he's about. No idea what he's from. I've seen him before in some comic. I know I've seen him. We had Pixie, who's one of the new X-Men in that series that I reviewed. She is one of the lesser characters, but still there. Angel, like Angel's just kind of casually flying around. He's a big deal if you don't know. One of the original X-Men, and he's blue, and his wings are metal, so that means he's like in his Archangel phase, and I know basically nothing about that, but still, Angel is just flying around here. And then we've got Multiple Man, Jamie Mardox, I believe. He's a big deal as well. And then we had Dazzler in that same scene, also a big deal. And then we get to the scene where they go into the kind of the council. It's kind of over the Genosha, kind of deals with the politics and stuff. So we see, I believe, not Sebastian Stan. That's a different person. Sebastian Shaw, I believe, is his name. And I know he's he's a thing in the X-Men. We see Banshee. I don't think he's as much as a big deal, but he's definitely a character in the X-Men. And then, Emma Frost also is there, and she's definitely a big deal with the X-Men. She's another telepath. I don't like her, but I respect the character, and I still get fun chemicals, even though I'm like, I don't like you, but you're still here, and that's really cool. So yeah, great stuff. Just all the cameos, loved seeing all of that. But yeah, back to the story. Nightcrawler is awesome. Just, I loved everything he said, talking to them about Genosha and how it works, how it's kind of hard because it's like a brand new nation and they're trying to start up this whole thing, but it's still really awesome because mutants get to have their own place and like culture, and it's all this stuff. Then it kind of starts leaning a little bit more into the Rogue love triangle thing, because Rogue is definitely being weird with Magneto, but it's just her and Gambit for a minute. So Gambit is just like, Rogue is kind of having fun, she's exploring the city, and Gambit is just like, he's thinking, he's watching her, and he's like, she's not, like, there's something going on here. It's not really working that much anymore. And I just want to say, Gambit very clearly loves her, and he's so sweet, and he's great, and he deserves so much better, because she's a little, I don't know the right word, she's just kind of being the worst in this episode for most of it. She still has some good moments, but she's not being great, and she's making me very angry, because Gambit deserves a lot better, and she just, don't pick Magneto. Like, please, no. And it's just like, he's so sweet, and he obviously genuinely cares for her, and Rogue is having some weird thing with a, like, very old man. Well, he looks old, I don't know how old he actually is, and it's just, blah, blah, blah. He deserves better. So then, after they see, like, this kind of mutant show thing, like, I don't know, performance, just a little mutant performance kind of thing, whatever. It goes back to the mansion, where the interview is still going on, but it's this time focusing on Jean, who is now Jean, not Madeline Pryor, so she's still trying to try and tell what memories are hers and what memories are Madeline's, and just sort all of that out. And so it's like kind of dealing with her and Scott's relationship, and then she is talking all about all of this to Logan, and so it's their thing, and then also Madeline is still kind of involved, and There's this whole, and so Scott is being interviewed while Jean is talking to Logan, and they're both talking about this story where Jean is being possessed by the Phoenix, and they were like on a date or something at the beach, and she took off Scott's glasses, which if you take them off, his eyes start blah, 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 blasting everywhere. And they didn't, and so they were able to look into each other's eyes, and that was a big deal. And so I'm just with this whole love square. To me, Scott and Jean are endgame. I mean, I don't see anything else. It's honestly Wolverine in this episode. He says it best. You're Jean, he's Scott. That's the way things are supposed to go. It's like, honestly though, he didn't say it in a positive way, but honestly, that's literally how things just happen. That's just correct. It feels way more normal. And so the reason he says that is because Jean kisses him for some reason, and like, oh my goodness, I was like, nope, do not, no Logan, no Jogan, or whatever you want to call it, just no. See, the name doesn't even work out. It's just blah, blah, blah. No, bad Jean. And I was like, she just told this whole stinking romantic story with Scott. They saw each other's eyes. It's important. It's special. Just like, yeah. And then he's over here telling it to this reporter, and he's obviously remembering it super fondly, and she's over here kissing Logan, which is wrong. And I don't like it at all. And then we get back to Scott, who's being interviewed, and again, I don't like this girl because she's like, let's talk about your relationship with Jean. And then he's telling her this romantic story, and then she's like, okay, so do you have any children? He says no, and then this stupid lady keeps like digging. He's like, I saw hospital records. Nathan Summers, he was born in the blah blah blah, and like, of course, Nathan is gone, and he's sick. He got sick, and he had to go to the future, and so they're never gonna see him again. They're not gonna. Well, they're getting to see him again, but they're not gonna raise him or anything. And so she keeps talking about this, and then he's just like, yeah, like he tells her, he's like, okay, yeah, I have a kid. Like, the doctor wouldn't deliver it, and she's so you lied. Why are you lying? I'm trying to give you X-Men a chance and whatever. And he's just like, because he gets, don't make Scott angry, because she made Scott angry. And he's like, he goes on this whole rant, and he's just like, because you are a normal human and you don't understand that we're literally not like you, even though you're trying to show that we're just like you. We're not. And we could kill you all if you wanted, or says something crazy like that, and then he walks away. And so it's just kind of like, that cannot be anything good. But just don't make Scott angry. I mean, he's a great guy, but he's also very, very passionate, and he has very firm beliefs, and, you know, don't make him angry. Just don't mess with him in general. But yeah, he kind of went off there, and then it cuts after he blows up and walks out, and it's clearly not a good thing. It goes back to Genosha, and so Magneto has been off while Rogue and Gambit are having a little bit of alone time, thinking about some things, and turns out the council that is over Genosha has wanted to make Magneto essentially like King Magneto. It's not the title they're giving him, but basically they want him to kind of be the main ruler over Genosha. So he is like, no, I'm not gonna do that, and then they are like, pretty please, and he's like, okay, but on one condition, and that's this little jerk. His one condition is that he wants Rogue to like be his queen. Like, bleh, gross. No. But, like, yeah. So he goes to talk to her and propose to her. She gets really angry, even though she's a jerk too, and she's being terrible to Gambit. And she's like, no, I can't be your queen. It's like, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then he says something, and so they're having a conversation, and then, like, being very conflicted, because it's clear, I'm like, I really don't, like, please back off, Rogue. This is really creepy, and I don't like it. It's Rogue and Gambit. This is no. but he's also like he gives really good reasons for wanting her to be the one to lead beside them, because he's like, he very obviously does care about his people. And so I'm like, technically, I guess you are an alright guy, but please stop creeping on Rogue, and you're just screwing everything up, and it's bad. Please stop. But, just bleh. Bleh. So many confusing feelings, just very intense. Just, yeah, lots of drama, I guess. And then, after that conversation, it goes back to Scott and, well, so Scott is kind of recovering. He's in his room after that little blow up, and he's talking to Jean, seemingly, and they're talking about him, like, being angry because he's grieving over Nathan, and then they kiss, and they have this whole romantic thing, but it wasn't Jean. He was psychically talking to Madeline Pryor, and she's in Genosha, so they were, like, communicating psychically over, like, I don't know how long away that is. It's like, just very rude. And then Jean finds out, and she is understandably very angry. And so, like, she breaks it up, and then she, like, leaves. But it's like, with this whole thing, like, they brought up Nathan again, and it's just so sad with Nathan. Nathan is a very sad situation, and just, like, yes, they connect over that thing, because it technically was their kid. It was Madeline and Scott's kid, not Jean and Scott's, but, it's just like, that's their thing, that's the psychic connection thing was Jean and Scott's connection, and Madeline is just kind of creeping on it, and just being, it's just not cool, it's not, like, just don't do that. Get your own thing, or don't have a thing, because it's just icky, so just, like, back off a little bit. But yeah, definitely not cool on either of their part. Either of, like, Scott and Madeline's part. Just generally not cool. And so, Jean leaves, and they have a little argument, and, like, Jean asks him if he loves Madeline or her, and he says, "I love you both," and I'm just like, yikes. Like, understandable, but also, yikes. You kinda have to choose there. Like, it's kinda, don't say that. Like, even if you think it, don't say it, because that's very icky and weird, and, choose one. You kinda have to, don't be, just, I mean, technically they're the same person, but, like, and it's understandable, but it's still icky. I don't like that. That was unpleasant to hear that come out of his mouth. But then it's also, Jean makes it very clear that she loves him, so that, puts a little more, come on, Scott, on him, because it's like, she says that her love for him is the one thing she clearly remembers out of all of her mixed up and scrambled up memories, which is very oof on him, because, like, she definitely loves you. She, like, it's like, I love Scott and Jean, so this whole thing was very tense again. Oh, the drama, and all that. And then that scene ends with, like, something zaps Jean psychically or something, and she, like, I don't know, she gets zapped, and then it cuts back to Genosha. And it cuts back to Rogue flying over to tell Gambit that she breaks up with him, basically. And it's just, like, so the whole thing, she basically tells him that she tells him about her previous relationship with Magneto, which is like, yes, I guess good on you for admitting that, but you, gross, stop it, nope. And she talks about her whole past relationship and like why she left him, and then she's like, I can't. She's like, can't be with you. It's like she's talking about how like she's gonna go be with Magneto because it's for the good of Genosha, and it's like it's not about Genosha. Gambit, stupid. Ugh, did not like her right now. And then she like the whole big point of her like breaking up with him, and she's like, I can't touch you. I'm sure it must matter to her, but also it does not matter. Like, you guys, it's Gambit and Rogue, so what if you can't touch each other? Like, just deal with it. Like, just come on, man. And it's, the thing where she can't touch Gambit, but she can touch Magneto, so that's why she's... But that is not a good enough reason. I was like, you little... Nope. Not good enough. Just... I was so mad at her. I was like, Gambit... I was I was with Gambit here. Just, Gambit deserves so much better. Just... I was so mad. But he took it like a champ. He was like, okay, we'll be friends. It's fine. Whatever. Even though he was so sad because he loves her, he took it like a champ because Gambit is a champ. And Rogue's a little chump. And ugh, hated it. Hated this whole stinking scene. I mean, not as the show. Like, I didn't hate it. Like, I didn't think it was bad. Just like, it was gross. Tense drama again. And then after they break up, it goes to this big mutant party thing that's happening on Genosha. And the blonde lady who was one of the like judges or jurors or something that was like when Magneto was on trial, she was there, and she's still kind of a jerk about mutants, and she was saying some stuff that I was like, you're still pretty basically racist, but whatever. And then Rogue shows up. So Gambit and Magneto are there socializing. Rogue flies in like she's the belle of the ball or something, all fixed up, and she flies in, and then Magneto flies up to her, and they have a whole special dance or something. And just my thoughts here are, in front of Gambit, man, like, just right in front of his face. He deserves so much better. I was like, dude, he's watching you. You just are, like, flaunting it in front of his face. And then, not only are they dancing, but then she kisses him, again, right in front of Gambit. And then Rogue, like, rejects Magneto, and she's like, I don't even know. Like, so she tells Gambit that she doesn't want to be in a relationship because she can't touch them. And then she tells Magneto, she's like, some things go deeper than touch, and just walks away. And I'm just like, dude, you are such a jerk right now. Like, why are you being the way that you are? I don't like you right now. Even though usually Rogue is pretty cool. Right now I'm like, you are a jerk. And just... It's like you dance with him in front of your ex, you kiss him in front of your ex, then you reject him. And just, like, so, whatever. Apparently that's just, oh, you little jerk. Blech. Boo you. And it's like, yeah. So but with all that going on, they cut away to Madeline. And Madeline also gets zapped. Like, Jean got zapped. So they both get zapped. And she, like, stops for a second. She goes outside. She like stumbles outside, and Cable, hey, it's Cable. Cable shows up. Cable is Nathan, by the way, if you don't know. And he's like in a big hurry, and he's like, you got to get out of here, stop the music, stop the party, he's coming. Don't know who he is, or I don't know if he says he just says, I don't know, somebody's coming basically. And he's like, you guys got to get out of here. And so Madeline looks at him and she realizes that it's Nathan. And she's like, oh my goodness, you survived. Well, he survived. But she didn't, because he zaps back out to his time. And then a big explosion happens. Maddie definitely dies. Like, she's right there at the front of the explosion. It's a sentinel, like, disintegration. Or, it's a sentinel thing, and she's definitely right there, so she's pretty dead. And yeah, it's a big sentinel attack that happens. So much die. So very die. But, like, a bunch of characters just dying. So much of the dying. The first one, I mean, there's clearly a lot of dead people already, but like Banshee is taking someone. I can't remember. Maybe I can't remember who he was flying away, but he's flying someone away, and he tries to alert like Rogue and Magneto and them. Or is it Magneto? I don't know. Maybe it's Magneto. He tries to alert them about something, and we see Banshee just get zapped, which that's kind of like, aw. Banshee. Sad. Not super sad, but still sad. They're, blasts everywhere, just all the things, and then, so Kurt, Nightcrawler, total MVP right here. He grabs them and he teleports them away. He gets banged up pretty bad. He doesn't die. I thought he was dead, and I was like, you cannot bring him back in this episode and have it be so awesome and then kill him off. But he's okay. He's alive. He just got banged up pretty good. And they regroup with Gambit, and then they see like how a bunch of people have died already, and they're like already being like just like body bags and stuff. We see Dazzler. She's dead, so that's unfortunate, and a lot of other people who I'm not sure I didn't remember the names of, but they were definitely characters. There was one person they like zoomed in on because apparently they were important, and they were definitely dead. It's the eye patch chick. I don't know what her name was, but she's definitely dead. Yeah. So the Sentinels are still attacking. So it's basically Rogue and Magneto and Gambit basically have to team up and do the stuff. So, like evacuate and protect the people. So Gambit is like, I will fend off the Sentinels since he's an Omega level mutant. He's like, I'm gonna draw their attention to me, and you two go and get more people or whatever, and like blow more Sentinels up. So Gambit and Rogue go off and do their thing, and as they're like fighting the Sentinels and just kind of being awesome for this whole sequence, I'm like, you guys are literally a power couple. Like, just what was Rogue even thinking? This literally just proves how awesome you guys are together. And I was like, Rogue, you're really being awesome right now, but I still also don't like you. It was just crazy. And so Magneto is trying to fight off the Sentinel as they're doing. He's trying to fight off a big one, and he's like fighting it, and he tries to pick up like this big old statue, and the Sentinel like breaks his concentration, and he drops the statue on a bunch of people. So that was pretty rough. He kills a bunch of people, and he gets really fired up. He says they will be avenged. So it's like, again, Magneto really cares about his mutants. Like, he's definitely got that going for him. It's a big advantage to good Magneto, is that he's very passionate about his people. Sometimes too much passion, but still, he definitely really, really cares. And then, the Morlocks are like different set of mutants, and they kind of live underground, so they're trying to get them out as well. And there's this little group that they have, and a Sentinel comes and is about to zap them, and then Gambit smacks it out of the way, and Gambit is out here doing work with his staff, which is a big deal because his staff is a big thing. His throwing cards are his thing, but also his staff is really important. So he's got his staff all charged up and he's doing work, and it's just like, it's so fun and it's awesome. I mean, it's not awesome. It's very sad and everyone's dead and whatnot, but it's still also really, really awesome. Awesome to see Gambit and his staff doing work. And then it gets sad again because Magneto he has all of the Morlocks and they get trapped. And so he's like trying to protect them with his big magnetism bubble. And there's this small green child who is a Morlock who's like holding on to him and he's really scared. And so this Senator starts zapping them really hard because again he's an Omega level. And so he like basically realizes that he's gonna die. And so Rogue is like realizing it as well. So she gets really mad, but Magneto like blocks her from helping him. So the Zagnietal, what? The Zagnietal? I don't know what combination of words that was. I meant the Sentinel. The Zagnietal. Wow. Okay. Wow. That's really hard to ignore. Just a second. Gotta get my brain right again. The Sentinel just zaps the rip out of him and he does die. And I assume all of the Morlocks that were under his shield died as well. So I guess that small green child died too, which was very sad. And then, so of course he's dead. So Rogue is very not okay with this situation. So she kind of goes nuts and she's like charging towards Sentinel, but obviously she's not thinking very much because Sentinel almost zaps her. Then Gambit throws a motorcycle at her in a nice way. To keep her from getting zapped. And so then Gambit, as the Sentinel's about to go, Gambit he goes doing his thing and just being awesome, runs at it with his staff, but like quipping, just like being really awesome, going to like face it head on, and then it's just like, yes, Gambit, get it, like, oh man, awesome Gambit moment. And then stab. Gambit gets stabbed, like in the side area. So that was kind of like, it was very intense turn. It was from like, yes, Gambit's doing Gambit thing, and then stab. Just like, wait, what? Like, are you killing Gambit? Is that what you're doing? We're gonna kill Gambit? And so then I'm like, he gets stabbed in the side, so I'm like, maybe he's okay. And then he's like, I don't know what the Sentinel says, but then Gambit, like, it's the big Sentinel, like the big boy Sentinel, the one they really got to take out. So Gambit grabs the metal thing that's it's like a part of the Sentinel. It's like attached to the Sentinel. He grabs the metal thing that's jammed into his side, and he says, "The name's Gambit, mon ami. Remember it." And then he blows up the Sentinel, but the Sentinel was the piece. He was in it. You know what I mean. He blows up the Sentinel, and then he also is blown up alongside of it, and he dies. And it's like, oh my goodness. That's why the title hits different, because he says, the name's Gambit, remember it. And I'm like, we will remember it. Like, what a way to go out. Like, I don't want him to, but if you're gonna go out like that. It's the big thing is like, I'm like, okay, Marvel characters never die, it's gonna be okay. And now I'm kind of realizing, like, if Marvel kind of kills off and brings back characters way too often now, I'm talking like comics, MCU is kind of leaning that way, but if you're gonna kill off a character and like that, like, if you're gonna kill off a character and we probably know that they'll be back, like, that's the way to go out. Make it big, make it a big deal, and so it'll be a big deal when they come back. Just don't, that, like, well, even if he comes back, I'm still gonna remember his death. Make it that way. Like, because that was a great way to go out, just taking out the big Sentinel and going down with it. Gambit's a champ. And then the episode ends with Rogue. She has Gambit's body, which is surprisingly in one piece. Not that I want to see Gambit pieces everywhere. I'm just saying that I feel like since the part was like in his side, I feel like he should have kind of dispersed. But, I'm cool with that. He's just very dusty and bloody. But she's like holding him, and she says, "I can't feel you," and I'm like, "Don't act like you're sad, you little jerk. Like, you've been a punk this whole episode. Don't act like you're sad about this." But I guess she's allowed to be because Gambit's pretty awesome, so whatever. I'll give her that. And that's how it ends. She says, "I can't feel you," and it ends, and it's sad, and Gambit is very dead. Just end. So yeah, overall, like, what an episode. That was very, very good. Just very good episode. And just, I mean, like, it's what's gonna happen next. It's just, it could go so many different ways, and you still have life death that you've got to get back to, and it's like, how are the other X-Men gonna react? It's just a great episode. It's setting up everything. It was so, like, intense, like, just, I was so into it the whole time. Just, definitely best episode yet. Like, the first two were very good, and then the third and maybe fourth, because I can't remember if this is fourth or fifth, were still good, although even if a little more iffy. But this one, best episode yet. Just amazing. It's like, just so good. So many memorable moments, basically everything. But especially that last fight was crazy. Just so crazy. And it's like, I'm gonna remember that one for a while. It was pretty spectacular. So, like, yeah, honestly, that's my thoughts on it. Like, this is, I don't even know what to tell you. Like, there's not even a moment that I was like, I wish they hadn't done that. Even if it's like, I have strong feelings about what is happening, I still think I'm not, like, mad at the show for it happening. It's just like, the fact that I'm mad at it happening is a good thing, because it's about the characters and me liking the characters and being into the character stories. Like, all of the story was just phenomenally done, and it was awesome. Honestly, it was just awesome, the whole episode, even though it was really sad. That, like, honestly, that's just my thoughts there. That yeah, that's it. Great episode. Yeah, that's all I can say. That's all I can say about it. Yeah, thank you for listening. Just tell me if you liked this episode that much, if you thought it was awesome as I did. Make sure to follow, make sure to answer the questions, and share it with your friends. Just, yeah, and go check out X-Men 97. It's worth it, especially this episode. This last episode. Go check it out. It's pretty amazing. But that is gonna be it. I will see you